What's good everyone, it's Steve from Sneaker Tech Talk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be taking a look at the Air Jordan 40 in this blue suede colorway. They kind of remind me of like a UNC look and feel, but without further ado, let's take a look at the shoes. All right, so if you didn't know, I do have a full performance review of this shoe on my channel now. This isn't another performance review, but more of just a look at this colorway and kind of re-go over how these perform on court. And I really like this shoe. I know a ton of people have thought that this shoe is underwhelming aesthetically, and I totally get it. It's a very plain looking basketball shoe in hand and on foot, but I think it's also very clean on foot. But without further ado, let's take a look at the blue suede Air Jordan 40. All right, so starting things off at the bottom of the shoe, as far as the traction goes, you have a translucent portion at the front and a solid rubber outsole at the back in white and then black right at the heel. And how this performs on clean or dirty floors. On clean floors, it's amazing. Like, it's a 10 out of 10. The traction is superb. Now on dirty floors, you'll see in my other performance review, if you check that out, this collects a ton of dust to the point where these are like dust magnets, but honestly, they still perform really nice even with the dust kind of clogged up. If you're wiping this outsole consistently with the dust, you'll be good to go. I never slid out within the shoe, but I just want to mention, if you're playing on a very dirty floor, especially here in the forefoot, they're going to collect a ton of dust and really clog up the grooves right here. But all things considered, it's a very reliable traction pattern here on the Air Jordan 40s. I do think you could probably bring them outdoors, but keep in mind, this is like a $200 basketball shoe, $260 here in Canada. So keep that in mind. These are not cheap and they're selling out every time that they do release. So these are not easy to get. If you bring them outdoors, they're probably going to get tore up pretty quickly. But as far as the indoors go, with this traction pattern right here, they are superb on basically all court conditions. Now, as far as the cushioning goes, if you remember with the Air Jordan 40s, if you remember with the Air Jordan 39s, they did have Zoom X within the midsole, and then they had a bottom-loaded full-length Zoom airbag. The midsole was a very soft rubber compound to the point where that Zoom X was like very collapsible on side-to-side movements. It just felt very unstable. Now, they did fix that within the 40s. This midsole, this rubber compound, is extremely firm to the point where this thing is not going to collapse at all. And then everything else directly under the insole is a full-length Zoom strobel. So you have a Zoom bag directly under your foot. And then under that, you have a full-length slab of Zoom X. And this setup is wild. It's very, very plush. You get a ton of impact protection from the back all the way to the front. It's not a mushy feeling like the 39s. Like, those felt like marshmallows under your foot. It's not quite that, but it's just very responsive and bouncy from the back of the shoe all the way to the front. It's a very reliable setup. If you're a big player, a small player, I do think you'll really like this shoe. It's not quite as close to the floor as a lot of other models that are out right now, but if you need something more, like more compression underfoot at the front of the shoe, and then like a crazy bouncy feeling at the back, that's exactly what this shoe offers. Just keep in mind, it's gonna come at a very hefty price point, but I think the cushioning setup in this shoe is very nice, and I hope Jordan Brand sticks with it moving forward, because I've always loved Zoom strobel, and coupling Zoom X directly under that is a wild setup. Now, as far as the fit goes within the shoe, I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, like, period, go up half a size. I'm typically a size 10.5 in all of my basketball shoes, and even going up to a size 11, these fit tighter than like 95% of my size 10.5 basketball shoes, even with going up half a size. Now, my toe is completely butted up at the end of the shoe to the point where my toe is touching the end of the shoe. It's not uncomfortable, but it's just a very like straight jacket-like fit, and that's with going up half a size. So if I went true to size, I ordered a 10.5, it was like a complete big no. Like, there was no way I could hoop in that shoe. I could barely get them on, and when I did get them on, it was like there was no way I was wearing a 10.5. So keep that in mind. They are decently wide foot friendly at the front, but just keep in mind this shoe does run short, and it does have an inner booty from the back of the shoe all the way to the front, where there is kind of like an extra liner where the tongue is attached all the way to the toe. So when you slide your foot in this shoe, it kind of bunches up at the front, and you really need to pull the tongue back to kind of pull everything within the shoe to the back of the shoe so it fits nice and secure. It's just a very snug fitting basketball shoe. You get a ton of padding at the back, which probably doesn't help with pushing your foot forward. The tongue is nicely padded, it is gusseted. It's just a very nice fitting basketball shoe if you can get your proper size. I would recommend trying these on in store if you can, but if you can't try them on in store, like from the jump, I'm telling you, go up half a size and thank me later. But overall, I do enjoy the fit of this hoop shoe. If you like a straight jacket-like fit within your basketball shoes, you will like this fit with going up half a size. If you want more of like a thumbs width, honestly, I think you should go up a full size for casual use and you'll be good to go with the Air Jordan 40s, but just keep that in mind when you're looking at ordering a pair of these online. Now, as far as the materials go on this basketball shoe, right off the bat, they absolutely get a 10 out of 10. Now, on the classic colorway, the side panels were leather, and then the toe box was kind of like a nubuck or a suede. On this pair, it's kind of a suede at the back in the black. It's a longer haired material, and then everything else running throughout the shoe is a nubuck material. And I love it. I love raw materials on basketball shoes. You know, mesh and screen mesh and TPU, stranded mesh, they're all great for breathability and breaking in really quickly. This does take more time to break in, but you get the benefits of more of a custom fit and feel within a basketball shoe when it has these materials on it. I think it's fantastic on foot. Again, it's going to take around an hour or two to break in. You'll probably have to adjust the laces because once the materials break in, it does loosen up a little bit. Also on the tongue, at the top of the tongue, you do have a 3M tongue. You have 3M laces, and then you have those 3M hits all the way down the tongue as well. So you're getting a bunch of premium materials, and I think that's a good thing because you are paying a hefty price for this shoe at $200 USD. It's absolutely wild, but at least you're getting a very nice cushioning setup and material usage. Now, the biggest downfall with this material is there is like zero breathability within the shoe, to the point where when I was performance testing the other colorway, I got a really nasty blister that exploded on me while I was hooping in them at the back of my heel. But if you can deal with your socks getting super sweaty and just really no airflow in the shoe, like the only airflow is right here on the medial side. This is reminiscent of the Air Jordan 18's flaps, the wings, under the wings. It had a similar setup, and that's what it's inspired by. That's more or less your only breathability as far as like having any airflow within the shoe. So keep that in mind. This is a very hot basketball shoe, but I do enjoy the materials. Now, as far as the support goes within this shoe, this is a very supportive basketball shoe. At the back of the shoe, you do have a TPU internal heel counter, and then you have this plastic counter right here as well, with that Nike Air hit on the back. It's a little bit clunky at the back of the shoe, like it's pretty heavy. We'll go over the weight in a minute, but it's very snug and secure. You have that inner booty at the back as well, which offers a very snug and secure fit. At the side panel of the shoe, this midsole, this rubberized midsole, does wrap up the side of your foot a little bit. So when you really make hard lateral cuts, as long as you have your laces snugged up very nice with this traditional lacing system, you will not be sliding over the footbed at all within the shoe. This shoe also has an outrigger right here, which does a great job of preventing your foot from teetering over. You have a wide and stable base. I don't believe these have a shank plate, but honestly, just with the cushioning setup and this midsole, these are very rigid at the midfoot panel here. And then you also have right near the toe right here, you have another layer of this rubber that does wrap up. And this all just kind of acts as a side guardrail for your foot when you're making those hard cuts. So all things considered, in my opinion, this is a very supportive basketball shoe. Some nice rigidity at the midfoot, some decent forefoot flex. All things considered, this is a very supportive basketball shoe. And while I played in the classic colorway, and I've played with these twice now, I haven't had any issues on court. Now, other than the breathability being a huge downfall for the shoe, the other issue with this shoe, which I think is a pretty big issue, it doesn't bother me so much, but I know it has bothered a bunch of my friends and a bunch of hoopers in the community, is the weight of this shoe. Now, coming in a US size 11, these come in at 17.9 and 17.85. So these are a little more lightweight than the classic colorway. I believe those were over 18 ounces, but still, all things considered, this is a very heavy basketball shoe in a US size 11. So that's going to do it for today's look at the Air Jordan 40 in this UNC or blue suede colorway. A very nice hoop shoe that comes in at a very expensive price point of, I believe, 200 USD, 260 here in Canada. Some of my favorite features on the Air Jordan 40s are the Nike Air at the back of the shoe. The 3M tongue with that Jumpman just reminds me of the Air Jordan 5. I believe on the inside right here by the laces, it has all the years he won his championships, and then his UNC title in college, I believe, is in a UNC blue. That's on the inside, hidden by the eyelets right here. Also the eyelets, like where the laces run through, those are 3M as well. So I just love the way that this shoe flashes up the middle when you do take a photo. You have this kind of coating right here that does say Air Jordan 40. You have this ribbing, I believe, from the Air Jordan 14s. There's just a ton of hits on this shoe that are reminiscent of models of the past, and I think that's a really cool thing. It's just a very great basketball shoe. If you can deal with the weight and the non-breathability factor of the shoe, I think you're really going to enjoy these. But like I said, that's going to do it for today's video on the blue suede Air Jordan 40s. Sound off in the comments if you guys have tried out the 40s, and if you like them, what you think of them. Are you planning on picking up a future colorway? Sound off everything down in the comments. But as always, thanks for watching today's video. And as always, if you guys could like, comment, and subscribe, that would really help the channel a ton. And check out my Instagram over at Sneaker Tech Talk, as it is an extension of my YouTube channel with all my pickups, basketball footage, and nostalgia as a whole. As always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.